I think the US non-farm payrolls is the thing to look at. As Martin was saying, they're expecting 161,000 for the May number, but I think it could pop above that. And the reason for it is we've seen a particularly strong property market in the US in the last few months. I think the inventory we've got of pre-existing homes up for sales is now down under 5 months. And that's certainly getting to be a tight market, which means new home building lifts. And when you lift new home building, you start to employ a lot more people. So I'd look for a surprise on the upside. Now, does that mean Yellen moves in June? No, far too close to Brexit. But, July, I think, is where you could look for it.
So what happens to the housing market when rates go up?
Yeah, you're quite right. But you're asking an old guy here. I remember mortgage rates that used to be up at 18% and all of that. I think the mortgage industry has been more sensible now in the United States. People ought to be able to wear a 0.25 percentage point rise in it without any giant shakeout in the sector. So really, it's more an issue of monetary policy, trying to get some traction back as the central bank, trying to get a policy rate where you've got scope to move up or down in future to support the economy. I don't think it would slow down demand in the housing market.
So, Richard, where you are, I mean, there seems to be a fair bit of scope for the RBA to move lower at a time when people are already worried about the property market there being in a bubble stage or at the very least very, very frothy. Are you worried that this is a bubble that's set to pop or ahead of the RBA before it even moves rates even further? Or are we likely to see some sort of, administrative measures to more money down payment, et cetera, just to take some of the heat out of the market?
Yeah. Look, I think we've all been waiting for the Australian property market to cool off for a couple of years. That story's been around and it never cools off. It just keeps going. Interest rate cuts have got something to do with it. Offshore demand has got something to do with it. A big migrant intake has got something to do with it. All of these factors seem to have been positives and just kept the market running. Does it worry the Reserve Bank? Absolutely. They watch this very, very closely. But are they about to try and do something to cool it off? Well, there have been measures from the Reserve Bank and also the government trying to tighten up its controls on foreign investors into the property market in Australia. None of them seem to have cooled it off, and I actually don't see that much ahead. But, I'm just a visitor here. Hey, I live up in Singapore, so I'm interested to hear what the two gentlemen have got to say that you've lined up for this session.